Today's topic for discussion is conservation of biodiversity. As in the last few lectures, we have known that the biodiversity is important component, and this biodiversity has to be preserved, conserved, or protected for the benefit of future generation as well as to save this Mother Earth. So, conservation of biodiversity in this chapter, we are going to discuss some of the important points like current practices in conservation, in situ conservation, ex situ conservation, role of national agencies in conservation of biodiversity, and social approach. So there are some social activities, social practices made by the common man, and these social approaches in conservation of biodiversity, as we are studying these important aspects at colleges and university level, role of the colleges and university in conservation of biodiversity. In India, if as far as the Indian status of biodiversity is concerned, India is most diverse in the world, as the location of India on the earth is quite distinct, and this location help us, that is in we are the part of subtropical region, and this subtropical region is rich with all environmental parameters, and that is why we are the richest biodiversity. Of the 25 top hotspots of biodiversity in India, there are two, and the important species, some of the important species to which the India is the origin. So different types of cereals are there, millets are there, legumes are there, as well as the faunal wealth of India is quite good, and that is why India is called the richest in biodiversity. Biodiversity conservation is important concept, and through conservation we are protecting, preserving, and managing, as well as there is one important word, that is restoring the wildlife and natural resources such as forest and water. Through conservation of biodiversity and the survival of many species and habitats which are threatened due to human activities can be ensured. This statement is important because human interference in nature is quite increasing in the current world, and that is why we are disturbing the biodiversity in large scale. To protect the biodiversity, as we are the reason for disturbance of this biodiversity, we have to have some measures for protection of this biodiversity, and it is an urgent need to manage and conserve the biotic wealth, and also to restore the degraded ecosystem. This restoration of degraded ecosystem is quite interesting concept, because we are disturbing, we are damaging the biodiversity, and we have to restore this damaged part or damaged areas, that is degraded ecosystem, and this is how we may able to restore the species or the diversity. Biodiversity conservation can be in two ways: ex situ conservation and in situ conservation. In ex situ conservation, it is the off-site conservation. So, as we are willing to restore or protect the biodiversity can be conserved or can be protected in two ways. In ex situ conservation, it is off-site conservation. That means, uh, if the particular species has its own habitat, and we have to create similar type of habitat for the protection of the species. In the process, protecting an endangered species, variety or breed of plant and animal outside its natural habitat. So this species may be in natural habitat, and because of some disturbances the species may be in harm, and such type of species we have to protect out of the natural habitat, or we have to collect that species and we have to protect somewhere that species by removing part of population from the threatened habitat and placing it in a new location. So in ex situ conservation, we have to conserve the species out of its location, or out of its original location, and we have to shift that species in the another location. And this is why quite artificial, we have to prepare the artificial environment of the species, and in that artificial environment we can protect the species. So this is what is offsite conservation. So these are some of the images and examples of offsite conservation, where we can create seed bank. So there are different institutions we are creating the seed banks, where the species or seeds of the some important species as well as common species also can be protected. Then gene bank is there, so genes can be extracted from the species and these genes can be stored. Then cryopreservation, tissue culture bank, and botanical gardens. Botanical garden is one more example. Even we can see in our college campus, that is, we have a good botanical garden with about 700 to 800 species. So these different types of species which were collected during the field visit are planted in the botanical garden. So through as the species are not original to that area, but we are collecting the species from different localities, and we are preserving the species in our botanical garden. So botanical garden is source of ex situ conservation or offsite conservation. On the other hand, in situ conservation is in place or conservation in the original place. So sometimes the species may be disturbed or damaged, and the species may be endangered, and that type of species can be protected by declaring the protected areas for that particular site. So the species may, as an example, maybe the species is there in Purandar Fort, and if we declare that if want to protect that species, we can declare the Purandar Fort as a protected areas, and we can preserve the species. So it is in situ or on site or in place preservation. It is applied to conservation of agricultural biodiversity in agroforestry. So in agricultural practices, we are protecting or we are preserving some types of common species. So this is the one example of in situ conservation, or declaring that particular region as a protected area. It is the in situ conservation. So examples of in situ conservations are national park, then wildlife sanctuaries, and biosphere reserve. So with this example, we can I know that national parks are the areas, the Tiger National Park, or the national park for lion, then park for reindeer, park for rhinoceros. So these are the example, different types of example, where that regions or that areas are the original native place of the species. Instead of instead of removing the species from that particular location, that location can be declared as a protected areas. Then wildlife sanctuaries are there, biosphere reserves are there. So these areas are declared by the government as a protected areas, and the species of interest can be protected in that original place only. Now there are some types of biodiversity, and there are some efforts taken for conservation of this biodiversity by local inhabitants, and these are in the form of sacred groves, then sthala vrukshas, and in the form of chipko movement. Similarly, there are certain organizations, they are working in the areas of conservation. So in that, Botanical Survey of India is there, BSI, Botanical Survey of India. They are Botanical Survey of India has headquarters in different regions, in 4 different regions. Then eastern circle, then northern circle, then western circle. Likewise, the Botanical Survey of India has different circles, and these different circles are trying to conserve the species in that particular area. So Botanical Survey of India has initiatives in conservation of species. Then NDPGR, that is National Bureau for Plant Genetic Resources, and they are protecting, preserving the genes or the species in the form of genes. Then ICAR, that is Indian Council for Agricultural Research. This council is again experimenting on different types of breed or different types of varieties, as well as they are protecting the native varieties or native varieties. They are preserving, they are protecting the native varieties for the benefit of human being. Then CSIR, Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, this organization is also working on conservation of the species, as well as Department of Biotechnology. They are also conserving the species in the form of genetic resources. So these are the different organizations. These established organizations are working on the conservation of biodiversity. Then the social approach in biodiversity conservation. So biodiversity conservation is not the initiative which takes place in the recent years, but the initiatives was takes place earlier from ancient times. So our ancestors are also working for the conservation of the species, and they the method may be different. In the form of the sacred groves or sthala vrukshas, the species are protected. So sacred groves are the areas that is called as Devarai, or it is also called as Vanarai. So these areas which are protected by the name of God, these are called as sacred groves. So there is some myth that most of the times when the areas are dense, or maybe the forest areas, and in these forest areas, we the local people or local inhabitants in the earlier period, they try to put the name of God, or put the image of God in the forest, and what they feel that God will protect us, as well as that God will help to protect the nature also. And that is why in most of the times, in the most of the areas, we can observe in forest or dense forest, we can observe the image or statue of God, and this statue of God is for the conservation of the species. So these are some of the images of biodiversity conservation in the form of sacred groves. So these are some images. So sacred groves are patches of forests that are protected by rural communities, and empowering ecosystem people to protect the environment could be key for preserving such pristine species. So Indian Forest Act, the rules and regulations are comes afterwards, but before that, the people were thinking about the conservation of the areas, and they have some initiatives in conservation of the species. The word sacred groves or sacred woods are the grove of trees that are special religious importance to a particular cultures, and they have various cultures throughout the world, and they are important for mythological landscapes. In India, several areas are protected for declared or protected in the form of sacred groves, and in that particular region, the hunting and logging is strictly prohibited. And these areas are used for collection of honey or dead wood, and this is on the sustainable basis. Some NGOs are also working along with the local people, and they are in the line to protect the sacred groves. So these sacred groves can be temple groves or traditional sacred groves or burial groves. Temple groves, that is, the temple is placed, or the areas are declared, areas around the temples are protected, and because of that, the temple groves are there. The traditional sacred groves, these are the ancestors groves in the forest, and burial groves, these groves are in cremation grounds. So these areas are protected in these different forms. Then next important point, that is sthala vrukshas, and this is again common practice in the earlier period. That is sthala vrukshas. Sthala, that is place, and vruksha, that is plant. Sthala vrukshas are the trees or species or plants which are declared by the name of God, or that particular place is the God's place. So Sthala is referred as the plant which is venerated from time immemorial by devotees as holy tree. The Sthala as in this is the Sanskrit word Sthala, that is place, and Vriksha is a tree, and these trees are found near the temple or found around the temple, and this because these plant species are there with the temple, or they are in the temple or surrounding the temples, these species are protected. As an example, we can, if we can see, there is So these are some of the examples around us. So in Baneshwar, even in Morgaon, we can see in Morgaon that Calotropis plant is there, and that plant is protected. Calotropis is protected because it is surrounding, or it is near to the temple, or it is nearby the god. So that plant is protected. Even I have tried to put some images in our surroundings. So this image is of Shirdi, where a neem tree is protected because it is in the vicinity of the temple, and that is why that plant is protected. So this is the place where that particular vriksha or the particular plant is protected. Even in Bhima Shankar, we can observe around surrounding that temple area there are number of trees, and that trees are protected because they are near to the god. And as the people what they are thinking, that the tree may be belong to the god, and that is why the species is protected. Even in Karanza, we can observe the number of trees are there surrounding the temple, and these trees or these plants cannot be cut down by the local people because they are the trees, or the trees belongs to that particular god, and that is why they are protected. So this is one way of conservation of the species in the form of sthala vrukshas. Then third important movement or event, so very recently Honorable Sri Sundarlal Bogunaji expired, and he is the leader, or he is the chief mentor for this movement, Chipko movement. And this movement where we can observe the women's are hiding, or humans are with the tree, and they encircle the tree, and this is for the protection of the tree. In Hindi, the chipko, that is hug and to, or to cling on. So the human in this chipko movement, they hug the tree, and they protect the tree, and this is why it is the chipko movement or chipko andolan. And this was for conservation of forest, conservation of trees. It was begun in 1973 in Uttarakhand, and then it spread throughout the world. So this is the image of Sundar Lalji Bhogana, who is the mentor for this Chipko movement. He was Gandhian activist, and he gives the direction for the success of this Chipko movement. And this movement was for slow down the rapid deforestation, expose vested interest, increase social awareness, increase ecological awareness, and demonstrate the viability of people power. So by this aim, Sundar Lalji Boguna has initiated the movement for Chipko Andolan. Before that, Chandi Prasad Bhatt was the person who initiated this Andolan, or this was called a Satyagraha in Uttarakhand, and this is for protection of the species. There are number of women are there, and these women hug the trees, and they do not allow to cut that tree, and that is why the Chipko Andolan or Chipko movement has got major initiatives. And because of this movement, this movement spread throughout the Uttarakhand, or throughout the northern region. And most because of this movement, the trees, around lakhs of trees are protected because of such movement. So massive reforestation efforts of millions of trees has been initiated because of this Chipko movement or Chipko Andolan. And this was the initiative for Save Himalaya movement, and because of that we can say that the Himalayan region is the rich, it has the hotspot of biodiversity. Now, the last point of this chapter, that is role of universities and other educational institute in biodiversity conservation. Being the academic university as well as the academic institution, these different types of universities as well as the institute are playing a role in awareness about this biodiversity conservation among the students, among the youth, as well as some of the university has taken initiatives for conservation of the species. As an example, in if we visit Pune University campus, so this large campus has several types of plant species. Even in the Department of Botany, we can see number of species which are protected. In Shivaji University also, this Shivaji University number of different types of species, maybe medicinal or maybe endemic species, maybe endangered species, they are protected in the university campus. So universities can play a role in two ways. They first have to protect the species, they have to conserve, or they has to protect the species in the campus itself. The colleges also have to protect the species in the campus. As an example, even in our college campus we have protected number of plant species in our botanical garden. So through botanical garden, the universities or educational institute can protect the species, as well as being a training institutes. It is the role of university and college to train the youth for conservation, to train the youth about the importance of conservation, and to aware the society in all in the conservation practices.